Sean Smith is here on KCMO Talk Radio. He is a Jackson County lawmaker, and he voted to put the Frank White recall on the ballot coming up for August 26th. All right, let's just start here, Sean, because there's a lot of confusing information in the details of this. Is this an ordinance, a resolution, and can Frank veto this?
Yeah, so we actually passed both a resolution and an ordinance. Frank can veto the ordinance, and we've already scheduled a special meeting to override that in the event he does so. And then the resolution is also out there. The reason we did both is because, as you mentioned, he has the authority to veto an ordinance. An ordinance is how the legislature would normally place something on the ballot, but it's not clear to me that it's truly required in this case. So we went with the belt and suspenders approach, I guess. We did both.
Okay. So you did an ordinance and you did a resolution, knowing that he could veto the ordinance, but he can't veto the resolution.
Right.
Okay.
And, I would say it would be very unethical for him to veto the ordinance. Frankly, it's unethical for him to not just go ahead and sign it immediately, because the election board needs as much time as possible to prepare. Mm-hmm. And if he delays, he's just creating a bigger problem for the election board.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so now we have the August 26th date. What are the potential legal challenges that you may foresee happening in the next few weeks, if any at all?
Yeah, that's a great question. I fully expect to see Frank's supporters, to the extent that he has any, to file some sort of legal challenge. We're in uncharted territory here. Literally no first-class county in the state of Missouri has ever done this before. So we're kind of making it up as we go to some extent. And so it's really hard to predict what the challenges will be. I know that Frank, in his official capacity, and I think unlawfully, used county resources to pay the election boards to get copies of all the signature petitions. I can find no lawful reason for him to want to have obtained that. So, we see them already working up the dirty tricks, and who knows what creative malfeasance they might engage in.
So he has a list of those who signed the petition?
Yeah, he used people's tax money to pay the election boards to make photocopies of it.
How do you know he used people's tax money?
I have the checks that he dispersed to the Kansas City Election Board and the Jackson County Election Board.
Out of the county coffers?
Correct.
You've got that? I mean, you have that information?
I do, and I've reported it to the Secretary of State. I need to follow up with him. Been a little bit busy with, the commercial assessment mess, and then now making sure that this recall ordinance passed. But that's on my agenda today, is to make sure the Secretary of State's following up and has the information he needs.
Man, that's wow. That's a really bad look, but I guess nothing is shocking anymore, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so...
But yeah, I'm sure his friends will come up with some reason to file a suit in the hope that, as we've seen this administration do, they use the justice system to delay justice rather than achieve it.
Would the election boards potentially be interested in trying to delay this process?
They shouldn't be. They have a pretty big job. I expect that they should be heads down, making sure that August 20th can be successful. There's been some concerns expressed about the timing. Normally, they have more time than this to prepare. But they've known that this was coming, right? They were the ones verifying the signatures. Mm-hmm. They saw when it was down to a few thousand. They saw when it was down to a few hundred. And they knew when they were going to receive the last signatures and certify them. So it's not like they were caught off guard.
Okay, so August 26th is now that date. I'm not going to hold you to this, but what would you sit here and say the odds are that Jackson County residents will be actually going to the polls on August 26th for this special election?
Yeah, I would hope 100%. The legislature acted clearly and decisively. The charter is very clear that it has to be within 60 days. That's the last possible Tuesday that keeps it within 60 days of when the signatures were certified. So, on the merits, I would say 100% we should be having a ballot on August 26th, but I don't know what kind of shenanigans people might get up to.
Will you be actively campaigning as a way to recall the executive, or are you just going to basically let this thing play out and let the people decide on August 26th?
So for me, I will actively support the recall effort, not in my official capacity, but just as a private citizen. I see tremendous difficulties with the things that this executive has done and the harm that it's caused our community and is continuing to harm our community. So I feel like I'm obligated as a citizen to do what I can, and I have every intention of doing that.
Sean Smith is here on KCMO Talk Radio. Now, of course, tonight there's an event I believe you're a part of at Jay Rieger here at 5:30 this evening for commercial property owners, right?
Yeah. Let me pause. It's tomorrow evening. It's on Wednesday at Jay Rieger. The event actually starts at 6 p.m., but the doors will open at 5:30.
Okay. That's tomorrow night at Jay Rieger for commercial property owners.
That's correct.
Okay. So anyone who's a commercial property owner can show up and just get more information on how to appeal their assessment?
Yep, exactly.
Okay. All right. So what do people need to know then? What do you want them to know then about tomorrow and that commercial assessment process?
So we've seen, and by the way, I'm now doubting myself if it's tomorrow or tonight. So I'm looking at the calendar and multitasking. But I will say that commercial owners, I've seen examples of a $100,000 building that's been on the books for years at that level suddenly jumping to $1.3 million. These are the types of increases that should never happen. Even if the assessor was wrong for all those years, we have to find a way to graduate these increases in so that we aren't shocking the system, shocking our businesses, and causing people to take drastic action. I know a number of businesses who have already decided they are shutting their business down, and they are not going to, it's basically creating a liquidation sale potentially for commercial real estate in this community, which is just devastating for so many people. So I'm doing everything I can to fix that.
Well, thank you for that. And I will say, I don't know when it is because your colleague, Manny Abarca, says on his social media, based on a press release he put out, it's on Tuesday, July 9th. So today's Tuesday, July 8th. So maybe you should talk to Manny and get a handle on when the heck this event is.
Yeah, that explains the confusion. It's in my calendar, it's July 9th, which is tomorrow evening. So I'm fairly confident that's always been the case.
All right.
But we'll circle back and do our best to get anything corrected that there might be an error on.
All right. Well, you get Mandy to get his social media pages straightened out there because he's got a big press release that says Tuesday, July 9th. So that he's going to be the only one there on Tuesday, July 9th. I'll just promise you that much. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
thanks for catching that.
Hey, no problem. That's what I'm here to do. Catch all the mistakes of the politicians around town, right?
Perfect.
All
Thanks.
right.
Keep me on it.
Hey, thank you for your work there, Sean Smith. We appreciate you, my friend. And thank you for clearing up some of this gray area with the Frank White recall. We appreciate the time.
Happy to help, Pete. Have a great day.
You as well. Bye. That is Sean Smith on KCMO Talk Radio.